And we are here with Tracy Habenicht. How are you doing?
Cut it. You said what? Haber.
Oh, son of a bitch.
You put the R in
there. Yep, there's that psychological study.
Yeah.
Well, that started wonderfully. Hello, folks, and welcome back to Street PX, our little podcast project aimed at expanding your world of street, documentary, and reportage photography, pretty much capturing the human condition. And it is Tuesday, February 6th. This is Casper you're hearing, and joined at the mic, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Jim Watkins. We have a really special one for you today, but before that, you are noticing it is Tuesday. Usually we release all of our episodes on Friday. That's what we've been doing for the last couple of years, and I think we've been doing it wrong. Mainly speaking, podcasts are a wonderful thing to listen to on your commute to work. And when we put it up on Fridays, you got your weekend, you might be going out or, hanging out with the family and friends. You ain't got time to be listening to these damn podcasts and such. So we're going to start trying to push our show out earlier in the week and see what that does. See if that helps us and helps you. Beyond this, we have a great show for you today. We're bringing in the wonderful Tracy Habenicht, coming to us out of Austin, Texas. This is a fresh eye, fresh perspective show. She is new to street photography, but that's the point. That's what we were wanting in this interview, is to get some insight from somebody who's just now breaking into the industry, just now starting to point that camera at people, and those kind of discussions are very important. This is Street PX. We welcome all, both veterans and newcomers alike, and that's what makes our show so much fun. Before we get into it, though, we do have a couple of really awesome plugs that we want to throw your way, some great exhibits that you might not know about. First and foremost is a Vivian Marr exhibit going on over in my old Midwestern area of St. Louis. So all of you in St. Louis, you're wanting to take a look at some of Vivian Marr's work from February 11th to June 10th. This exhibit's going to be at the International Photography Hall of Fame. And if you know Vivian Marr, which if you're listening to this show, it's very likely, it's wonderful work. So that's a great place to go and see some. Secondly, for you New York locals and visitors to New York here in February, you want to go and take a look at A New Vision, American Photography After the War. This is going to be a feature exhibit started on February 1st, and it goes until March 17. It's going to be located at the Howard Greenberg Gallery there in New York City, and it's featuring such legendary photographers as Winogrand, William Klein, Ouija, Robert Frank. I mean, this is an event I definitely wish I was in New York to check out. But if you are, you can definitely go and do so. If you need more information on this or the previous exhibit for Vivian there, I'm going to be adding all of this information onto the show notes that you can find right there at streetpx.com. So enough with the plugs. We need to throw some love to our wonderful sponsor, Glass Key Photo. This is San Francisco's premier place for all things analog photography. So if you're looking for a camera body, lens, film brands, both known and very unique, you're going to find it there, as well as repairs and whatnot. They are open from 12 to 6 every single day. You can find them over at 1230 Sutter Street, their wonderful location. And they also host a number of events, things like instant photo walks and such. You can find that information there on their website. But one I want to bring up, if you dig great handmade books, zines, photo books, things like that, don't miss their upcoming events called Photo God's Zine and Book Fair. And that's going to be on Saturday, March 24th. And more of that information, like I said, is going to be in the show notes. But if you have an appreciation for zines, photo books, things like that, you have some zines that you want to share or maybe get some feedback on, definitely go and check that out. As far as we're aware, it's free. Photo books, obviously, on location won't be. But, hey, you can go in, give some support to some local artists, and get some support yourself. And talking about support, if you've been digging Street PX, we would love to, get some support from you. So you can do that both through our merchandise store as well as our Patreon account. As far as our merchandise store, we are up to nearly 40 designs in there for all of our t-shirts, and that's including different analog cameras, really cool sketchwork designs, kind of some cheeky statements, and so much more. But you can find that at merch.streetpx.com or just follow the link right from the website. And more importantly, Patreon. Patreon's going to be where you can go. You can give $1, you can give $5, whatever it is. All the money that goes through Patreon goes right back into helping us create a better show. As a matter of fact, I didn't actually get to bring it up in our 2017 recap episode, but all of our Patreon contributors over the course of the last year, and we're so appreciative of all of you, in these little kind of micro donations, we were able to raise enough money to be able to get a new editing system for all of our audio and such, and actually looking in and getting some new mics here. So it's so helpful, and it goes such a long way to offering better sound and at least the best sound that we can possibly put forward. So thank you all so much for your help. And if you are wanting to contribute, definitely go over to patreon.com/StreetPX and choose your reward point, your reward tier there. Yes, so go check us out on iTunes, iHeartRadio. We love reviews. That helps us get into more ears, etc., blah, blah, blah. I think I'm done with all these plugs. Let's get right into this talk with the magnificent Tracy Habenicht. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, Casper?
Yay.
Hey, Jim.
Great.
Tracy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I've been enjoying your work.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Jim's been watching.
Jim yeah.
keeps an eye.
Yep.
I notice when he likes my posts. I like that.
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you. Great.
Jim's kind of like our casting director. He's the one that's just like always watching the interwebs. Who's new, who's great, and who can we bring in?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you need somebody like that.
Yeah, we have to get Tracy in there, man. Check it out.
Oh, thank you.
So today we're going to be talking street photography and getting some fresh eyes on it because, actually, before I jump the gun here, let's just kind of find out a little bit more about Tracy. So if you want to just let us know kind of where you're from, where you grew up there, and learn a little bit about your background.
All right. Well, actually, I am from Illinois, just like you guys.
Yeah,
yes.
I want to talk to you about that.
Yeah, I grew up in Lockport, which is in the southwest suburbs of Chicago, right by Joliet. And I lived in that area until 2010, and that's when I moved to Austin, Texas. Mm-hmm. And so I've been here for 7 years, and I got into photography in the spring of 2016, and at that point I was shooting wildlife, but just wildlife in Austin. So basically birds and squirrels with the occasional lizard and a wild mouse. And after a while, I realized in order to be a good wildlife photographer, I was going to have to travel and buy some more expensive equipment. And that wasn't like a practical thing for me, especially with work. Traveling is kind of hard. So I switched over to street, and I had been doing street while I was doing wildlife. Occasionally, if I'd feel like I'd had like enough animals, I'd start shooting people, except I didn't realize that was a genre. I just liked the candid photography. And so then I realized eventually that it was a genre, and it was something I could do, and it was something I could do in Austin, all the time, because there's people around, not everywhere, because Austin is a real car-centric town, but there are spots where people walk. And so I've been doing street photography solely since November of 2016, so a year.
Okay.
Got that anniversary that just ticked up there.
Yeah, that's right.
Now I want to delve in a little bit more into your background, because you said you were doing before you doing street, you were doing a lot of wildlife photography, but you are active in PETA, right?
I work for PETA. Yes, you've done your research.
That's right.
Oh, I didn't even see that part. Nice.
Yeah. So and so that's a very big part of your life. Yeah.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's at least 40 hours a week. I'm a copy editor, and I've been a copy editor my whole professional life.
First of all, before you go, because this goes all over the world, explain what PETA is.
Oh, sure. PETA stands for People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, and we have affiliates, like you said, all around the world. I actually edit for all the affiliates, so there's quite a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Wow.
Yeah, and PETA believes, as do I, that animals deserve rights. They don't exist for the purpose of humans using them. They exist for their own reasons. So PETA's motto is animals aren't ours to eat, wear, experiment on, use for entertainment, or abuse in any other way. It's really meaningful work. It's difficult. There's a lot of work, but it's really fun, and it gives me a great sense of purpose in life, as does my photography.
Yeah.
I can see why the wildlife was so important to you early on with the camera.
I love animals.
That's because I was saying when you were talking about that wildlife, I said, "Oh, man, okay, so there may be an intersection between that and what you do, as far as your work." Yeah. I mean, is there anything that you have done or maybe can do with your photography with PETA?
I don't know. There's a woman, her name is Joanne MacArthur, and she's a full-time photographer. She doesn't work for PETA, but she lets PETA use a lot of her images.
Like a contributor.
Yeah, and she photographs animals in slaughterhouses, and in farm sanctuaries and other places. And for me, my photography kind of gives me a break from all the seriousness of animal rights.
Right.
So,
okay, I see.
I think it would be too much for me to read about the plight of animals for 40 hours a week and then document it with photographs. So I need a break there. Yeah.
That'd be pretty heavy because I've seen a number of these projects coming out, and these are things that I absolutely appreciate. I mean, like the treatment of a lot of the farm animals, especially kind of there in the middle of the country where a lot of this is happening. I think I just saw an article come up here last week, the video of the guys kicking the cows and abusing them through there. So
yeah,
I mean, that kind of stuff it's difficult enough to be your job, let alone, like you said, just countering it within your personal life too. It's a little overwhelming.
Right. Yeah. And that could lead to burnout and yeah. So it's good to have kind of a separate outlet that really has nothing to do with that. And that's where my street photography comes in.
Now, before we skip into that, how long have you been with PETA?
I've been with PETA for 7 years.
7 years?
Yeah.
And, I mean, in that time, you started out as a copywriter and then continued kind of in that position, or did you come in through with like an internship? Or
a copy editor. So I don't do a lot of writing. But the first year I was at PETA, I worked for it's called the International Grassroots Campaigns Department. And we just try to get the plight of animals into the media. Mm-hmm. And then when I saw that there was an opening in the editing department, I applied for that because that's where my background is and that's really where my interest lies.
Okay.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Before I let the PETA subject go away, I do have a quick question, and we don't have to have this one on the show.
Okay.
I am curious. How involved were you with the baboon case?
Oh, with the monkey selfie?
Monkey
Naruto. Selfie. I edited all that stuff. Yeah.
You did?
Really?
Yeah. And PETA...
That was... Wow.
Yeah. PETA... So, I don't think we were really against the photographer, but eventually we want the courts to recognize animals as, quote, people. And that's one way...
Or having the rights.
Right. And that was one way to get the conversation going.
It's a tricky conversation, too, because, I mean, obviously, with any debate, you're going to have people on the extremes of either end, obviously. and the main thing you want to hear and listen to or debate in is that kind of middle gray area, and that's a tricky subject because people feel very strongly about that.
Oh yeah,
and it is easy to assume that there's like an attack on a photographer when in fact there's not. It's just it's the principle that you're trying to get out there.
Exactly. Yeah. I wasn't like part of the behind the scenes for all that, so I can't really speak to that, but yeah, I don't think we had a problem with him at all,
Right.
Yeah.
No, I figure being a photography podcast and your work with PETA, I'm sure that's in the back of some people's mind as soon as they heard that. It's like, oh, wait a minute.
Right. Yeah.
I remember something about that.
Yeah.
Did PETA bring you to Austin, or
no?
What got you out of Lockport?
I was married. I was with my then husband. We're not together anymore. And we wanted to get away from the Chicago winters. And so we wanted to go someplace liberal and someplace warm. And so that's how we settled on Austin. And in order to move, I needed to find a new job. And so PETA lets a lot of people work remotely. And so I applied with them, and that's how I got that job. And then I was able to move to Austin.
Oh,
right
okay.
On, right on. As big as PETA is, I mean, any city that's worth its weight is going to have some type of a division, I'm sure. So.
Yeah, Austin doesn't really we don't have a division. There's actually, I think, just 2 of us who work from home in Austin.
Really?
Yeah. PETA has offices in Norfolk, possibly in New York, sense. I'm not sure. The Bay Area, I think Berkeley, and Los Angeles.
Okay.
And then PETA affiliates, we have an affiliate in India, the Philippines. That's PETA Asia. They kind of do the whole Asia region. PETA UK, PETA France, PETA Germany, PETA Netherlands.
So you got your own like little PETA G20.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
and PETA Australia. Right. Yeah. So
nice. Do they ever send you around? Do you get to travel through them, or?
No. I imagine if I were to take a vacation and wanted to visit the office and maybe work there for a few days, I could do that. But yeah, fortunately, I have hermit tendencies, so I like to stay home.
You sound like my wife.
That's funny. Oh. Now, just just pivoting off of that back into the street talk here. You're new to the street game, as they say, the street photography world, and you've been doing this now for a year. What exactly? I know when we started, you had said you were taking pictures of people and everything, but was there a particular picture or a moment that really kind of shifted you and said, "Oh, let me turn my lens on people"?
There wasn't a particular picture or moment. It was just when I realized that I joke that I photographed every squirrel in Austin. And so I realized that there wasn't anything more that I could do with wildlife photography without the travel. And I like street photography just because I like to explore the human element and human nature and what makes all of us the same, even though we may look different or have a different religion or come from a different place. There's certain aspects of life that a lot of people don't even think about. Just gestures or things like that we all have. And
so you're seeking out similarities.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
The common thread.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because I know sometimes some people we talk to, their perspective on it is looking for differentiation and contrasting elements and so forth. It's interesting that you're taking the approach of similarity, trying to draw a line between all people.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally I do photograph people who look different, because they stand out, But I like I was thinking last night about this one picture that I took early on. It's of a person I assume is a mother with a girl, and they're both standing up, but the girl is facing her mother, and she has her head between the mother's knees, and she's clasping the mother's legs. And that's such a universal, that's how kids, if they're maybe sad or tired or shy, they'll kind of retreat into the parents' legs. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it doesn't matter where the child is from. I think that's a universal, and it's so sweet to see too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Jim actually had one of those here recently.
Oh, really?
It is. Yeah, it's an interesting gesture, or at least an action by the children that you're right. It is a universal thing.
You talking about the little girl hanging off the chains?
Yeah.
I missed that one. Is it on Instagram?
Yeah, I think it is.
I'll have to check that out.
I think it is. Yeah, it's a black and white little girl. It was one of those things where the parents they're waiting to get onto the cable cars. So that's always a long, boring wait.
Oh.
And there's a chain rope around this area where you wait. And while the parents were just standing around, just talking and doing their thing, this little girl was swinging back and forth on this chain. Just like any kid would do in any country ever, all over.
Yeah.
I saw that and I said, I got to get this shot.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I know I can understand what you mean.
Yeah.
It's like smiles and frowns. You always know what it means.
Yeah, exactly.
Universal language.
Right.
Yep.
Which is great because we have our cameras to be able to capture that. Now, I mean, coming into it and working the street, are you focusing on more highly dense areas? Or are you trying to go more a suburban approach?
No, not suburban. I grew up in the suburbs, and I find them really boring. No offense to suburbanites. So Austin's really like it is the biggest city I've ever lived in. But I like it because it's kind of a small big city. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I go downtown a lot, and
well, I know Austin's experiencing a bit of a major expansion over the last few years.
Yeah, it's definitely grown. Yeah.
Yeah. How's that playing a role? Like, have you, in your time in Austin, how much change have you witnessed?
I can't say that I've witnessed, like, any change. I don't think I've been here long enough.
Or really?
Or early enough, to witness the change. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
interesting.
Just to completely do a whiplash cycle back, did you grow up in a creative family? Is that something that helped push you toward the arts, or? No,
my dad was a good drawer, but he didn't it wasn't a hobby or anything. For fun. Yeah, not even. He'd help me with school projects. So yeah, I wouldn't say we're a creative family at all. I've always been interested in photography, like in high school and in college. I would take pictures at family gatherings. But it wasn't. I didn't know anything about aperture or shutter speed. It was just an Olympus point and shoot. But I remember when I probably maybe was a sophomore in high school, I tried to take artistic shots, and they're so bad. I had this hook on my bedroom ceiling, and there wasn't anything that was hooked to it. So I took a shot at that to imply isolation and loneliness, But it wasn't artistic. It was just a shot of a hook on a ceiling,
You were going deep with it.
Tracy, that will probably be good enough for any modern art museum in the world.
Really.
I should dig out my photos then.
That's right. You should. You never know.
I just went and saw an exhibit recently. It was a oil paint exhibit. And sure enough, right in the middle is one picture that's just white. There's no paint on it.
Oh.
It's just, and I forget what weird title or explanation they had, but it was something like the elimination of everything. And I was like, bullshit. You went down to Hobby Lobby, bought a canvas, and hung that shit on the wall.
And you had enough marketing savvy to talk to somebody from the Modern Art Museum to hang this in there.
Yeah. Who the hell did you sell this to? And so there's always going to be somebody to buy it, though.
You just never know. You just never know. Now, let me ask you, Tracy. Have you ever been inspired by any of the famous street photographers, or have you followed any of them?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
The Harry Ransom Center, which is on the campus of the University of Texas at Austin, they had an exhibit of Elliot Erwitt. And so they had some of his like photojournalist photography, like with Nixon and stuff. And then they also, what are you holding up?
Elliot Irwin?
On the beach.
Yeah.
I haven't
got this for $4 at a flea market.
Really? Oh wow.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. I haven't seen those photos, I don't think. Is there one in there with a bird on a post?
I think there actually is. I know which one you're talking about, but this one, what we're talking about, everybody that can't see us right now, is Elliot Erwitt's On the Beach book. And it's very kind of unknown work. Like I said, I didn't even know that this book existed until I found it in like a little thrift store. But I think you're right. I think there is it sounds obscure, but being Elliot Erwitt, those are kind of like legendary images. But a bird on a wire kind of thing, or a bird on a post.
Yeah, and then it was like right next to something else that resembled it.
Yeah, it was like an echo kind of thing, running that echo process.
Yeah. So that photo was on exhibit, and I like that. And then also his dog photos. And
yes,
as you can imagine, I love dogs.
Yes, I know that.
So yeah, those are a huge inspiration.
Elliot Erwitt, that's a good one. Yes.
Yeah, and then also Jay Maisel. He lives in New York. He's quite old now, but I watched some videos of him and Scott Kelby on the Kelby One
group
website. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's the person who really got me into gesture. Looking at little
subtle things.
Subtle things like the way someone's hand is or the way they're standing. Yeah, so I'm really on the lookout for that.
Yeah, Jay Maisel is a great name, and definitely somebody. The subtle nature of his work is amazing, and I love the fact you brought up Scott, because that group, it's a great resource for learning.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I think they have an entire. They're kind of like Linda in a way.
Right.
Kelby Group has become. It's like its own little resource for education, all in photography, Lightroom, Photoshop.
Yeah, and each week every Wednesday they have a Facebook Live video called The Grid.
The Grid, yep.
And then you can go back on YouTube and watch previous episodes, and I learned so much of photography from that. He really doesn't do much with street photography, but he has blind critiques once a month, and I learned a ton from that. Like the brightest thing in the photo is what's going to capture your attention. So make sure you darken the spots where you don't want the eye to go, and things like that. So I learned a lot from that.
Yeah, I remember them from when I think back when R.C. Concepcion and Matt Kowalski, the Lightroom guru. Kozlowski, yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's just way too damn much information in one room. I think they had to move on their own ways and do their own things.
Right.
Jim, go ahead.
Oh no, just go ahead. I'm looking up something here.
So coming off of those inspirations.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I just thought of something. Were there any female photographers, maybe street photographers that you might have been inspired by or maybe known of?
Historically, I'm sad to say that no, I haven't. Maybe I have to do some more research. But none come to mind as an influence. Mm-hmm. When I was in college, I came across a photo by Cindy Sherman. Is that her name?
I believe so, yeah.
Cindy Sherman, yes. Yeah.
It was a self photo of her. She was like dressed in like a school uniform, and I think she was kneeling on the floor. And something about that spoke to me. It's not street, but I really like that. And so, as far as female photographers, she was the first one that I liked.
So now, living up in the Chicago area around 2011, were you at all swept up in the Vivian Maier craze?
Well, I wasn't there in 2011, but I was in Austin.
She left in 2010.
Oh, you left in 2010.
Yeah.
That's right. But still, yeah, that's right.
But
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did see the film, the documentary. And actually, you're right. Yeah, her photos are so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a special case of having that twin lens reflex.
Yeah, so you don't have to put it up to your eye.
Mm-hmm. Kind of creating like that separation. I think I need to try that someday.
Yeah. All right, you go ahead, Casper, since I screwed up my dates.
Yeah, screwed up my dates. Screw up my flow, man.
Wait a minute. Yeah, I'll tell you.
I'm curious about Austin, at least as far as an artistic town. I know it's so creative down there. It's kind of like this kind of southern Portland. Is there a lot of photography exhibits and photography push going on there that you're aware of?
Oh, that's a good question.
Maybe even just like photo groups, places that you can go and get resources. Yeah.
There is a community. A woman named Simi. Every month she hosts a photo walk.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's that group called?
I don't know if it has a name.
Oh, it's just an independent, a group of people that just get together.
Yeah.
I think that's the beginnings of a collective.
Oh yeah. Well, it's not all. I don't think it's all street photographers actually.
Mm-hmm. Just kind of a menagerie of different genres coming together, which is great though, because you can learn so much from other photographers and other artists that you can bring into your own work.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
because I know I learned a lot myself. Nature photographers, because I'm sure being with PETA, you would agree with this, is people are just animals or vice versa.
That's right.
And so action, reaction, and all of this, we're all kind of more the same than we'd like to admit. So working with animals is an interesting way of being able to learn that kind of training your process and training your eye.
Yeah, like trying to figure out what they're going to do next.
Yep,
right.
Anticipation.
Whether it be an animal or a person, yeah.
Which is, in and of itself, street, it's like the definition of street, is being able to be prepared.
Yeah.
Do you find that you're getting better at that? I mean, in a year's time, it's not a lot of time, but you do learn a lot in that first year because the passion is so heavy and strong. How do you feel you are today as opposed to whenever you first became aware that, this is street, that's what I'm doing?
I feel like I've definitely gotten better. I still, there's a lot of room for improvement. But yeah, I feel like I'd like to think that it's a little more in depth,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It varies based on the pictures, of course. But like I'm doing more silhouettes now, which I couldn't, for some reason I just couldn't grasp the concept of how to do a silhouette before, and now I finally understand it. So I'm doing more of those.
Wasn't that a great day whenever the camera settings and the light just came together for that first picture?
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, that's how you do it.
Right. And then you can't believe, like, how did I not get this before?
Right. Just the slightest little thing.
Mm-hmm.
Changes it. That was my favorite part, and still is to this day, is learning a new technique and actually being able, usually for me it's an accident.
Yeah.
And then I have to reverse engineer it.
Sure, yeah. So Tracy, what's your approach to street photography? I mean, do you engage your subjects? Do you try to stay totally unobtrusive? Do you get close? How do you approach it?
Well, I have a 35 millimeter lens. It's 23. It has a crop sensor, so 35 equivalent. So I really have to get close. It kind of forces me to. But I try not to engage with people just because I want it as candid as it can be. I don't want to influence the scene. But then if someone sees me take a picture, then I'll usually like smile or say thank you and then just walk away. I ask people for street portraits sometimes if I don't think I can get the shot candidly and they look like really unique or something about them draws them to me. Then I'll ask them for a portrait. One part that I still have to work on is I feel like I have to hurry, even though they said yes. Yeah. And so sometimes the portrait works and sometimes it doesn't. But I know I just have to take my time and make it work. So.
You feel like you're kind of like taking up their time.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Now, making that switch from wildlife photography to street photography, was it difficult for you to to shoot people, to engage people, to do what you do?
It really wasn't, because the drive, the desire to get the photo, it outweighs my nervousness usually about approaching people, or or hold on a second.
That's okay.
Don't worry.
Of approaching people or getting close to people. I really want the photo. So if they get mad, then I'll just have to deal with it later.
When they say, don't ask permission, ask forgiveness.
Exactly. That's my motto for street. Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
that's the foundation of a good street photographer.
Yeah.
Exactly. But always knowing to go with your gut. Because there's some situations, there's some of that it's not forgiveness, it's more like asking for help.
Yeah. I don't want to be assaulted or anything like that. And I've only had one person. I've had one person yell at me, and I just ignored him. And then I've had one person ask for the photo to be deleted. But fortunately, he was nice about it, and I deleted the photo.
You've only had that once?
Yeah, just once. I've been lucky so far.
That's quite lucky, because I think I average at least once a month.
I think it helps being a woman, and I look kind of young, and so they probably just think I'm just some student or something. I think that helps.
That's a unique topic, because I'm glad you brought that up. Do you feel whenever you're working with subjects, or when they see you as a woman, that it's more it breaks down a wall a little quicker?
I think it does, especially shooting kids, because I know there are some men who won't photograph kids, and I think we all have like this stereotypical image of like a pedophile in our heads, and it's a guy.
The old long trench coat, brown trench coat guy, specifically.
Right, exactly. So I think I look non-threatening.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and between Jim and myself, Jim is definitely the non-threatening one.
Oh God! Yeah, I can see that.
That's why he's got so many wonderful shots.
I'm this bald-headed black guy. I'm an immediate threat.
Well, I don't know. Between you two, for pedophile, I would say.
You say Casper? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's the beard and
it is the beard. Not that you look like a pedophile, but I'm saying between the two of you, if I had to pick.
Man, you were getting dissed.
This is going a whole different direction. But it is a very, very valid point, though, and it's something that street photographers should be aware of. It's that it's perspective, and I know a lot of different street photographers from a lot of different walks of life. Some, and particularly the guys. I know some that are 5'5" and the nicest looking people in the world, and just as nice inside too. But I also know others that are 6'4", 250 pounds, intimidating looking, still teddy bears, but you don't know that as a subject. And if you're walking down the street and somebody that big approaches you, it's going to put you into a defensive mode.
Yeah, especially with kids around. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Do you ever have any concerns, like being out and about? Obviously with street, it kind of takes you on an exploration. Is Austin one of those areas that you kind of have to have your head on a swivel?
I feel safe in Austin. The only time that I because there's always a lot of people around. But I've been doing more night shooting.
Really?
And like 6th Street, that's like the bar area. So there's always a lot of people around there. But the place that I park, I probably shouldn't be parking there. It's kind of it's kind of isolated at night. And so when I'm walking to my car, I'm thinking, this is probably not a good idea.
Yeah, Tracy, be careful.
I know.
Yeah, I'm looking at one of your night shots now. A couple of them, yeah.
Let's go down this path because I am fascinated by night street photography, and you don't see as much of it. A lot of us look for that golden hour, or myself, I look for high noon because I want heavy contrast. But how are you approaching your night photography? Like setting-wise, or is there particular scenes that you're looking for?
The scenes really are the same during the day as at night, but I'm a lot more conscious of where the light is.
Oh, you're looking for those kind of storefront shine?
Yeah, or at least street lights, something, so I can get a shot. I find that it is difficult, and yeah, and you usually have to do it in black and white. And Valerie Jardin, she says to embrace the motion blur. So, because because your shutter speed has to be pretty low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What drew you to night photography? I mean, because that's a challenge. I mean, that's a known challenge. Why did you decide to do it, the night photography?
Oh, well, it kind of started. Well, I did it last New Year's Eve, and that worked out really well. I got a lot of good shots, a lot of them in color too. And I don't know. I had just gotten my camera. I switched from a Nikon to a Fuji X100T, and I don't know how I got so many good shots that time.
Oh, and you're definitely a fan of Valerie then.
I am. I'm a follower. And then
she calls them disciples.
Yeah.
As well, they should be called disciples.
That's true.
That's what she is, you know.
But yeah, switching over to the X100, yeah. Go ahead.
And then most recently, I went during Halloween, and I got some shots there too. Yeah, because I heard that Austin kind of goes crazy downtown during Halloween, and I think it was a little less crazy this time because it was cold and rainy. But it did remind me of the Chicago Halloweens of my childhood.
Yeah.
Oh, Chicago and the cold weather is a whole different ball game. That's what pushed me out.
Yeah, it's tough. I would curse my ancestors every winter, like as I'm scraping my car. I'm like, why did you guys settle here?
And then you got to put the baby stroller or shopping cart or something in that space once you've dug yourself out. Otherwise,
did they do that in Lockport?
No, fortunately, I had a driveway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You said you grew up the suburbs there. Yeah. We didn't have the benefit of a driveway where I was at. It was do or die.
Yeah, that would be awful.
But
oh my God.
It made for very interesting acquaintances, especially the mad ones. Whenever you pulled back in, somebody took your spot. That always got fun.
Yeah.
Now
let's see.
I want to ask because I'm just running through your portfolio a bit here, and it's something that you alluded to earlier about the way you shoot, and it's your attention to detail. And I'm looking at how you get in there. Here's a photo of subject's feet, and just interesting detail.
Sounds like the Dexter approach. You're cutting off limbs and focusing on certain.
But concentrating on that particular detail that you want, even though you're not seeing the entire person. That's fascinating. It's something you go for, right?
Yeah, that's what I look for, because it's hard to find something worthwhile to shoot sometimes. It's hard to find like the story or the for me to explain why would I shoot this. And so for the feet thing, it's the two people on stools. Is that the
right?
Yeah. And the woman has her shoe partially off, right? Yeah, so it's just kind of it's an ordinary thing to see, but it's something that most people wouldn't think about. They just see it and just not think, just walk right past it. And I like to find, I think there's beauty in that, in just that ordinary gesture. And I'm sure all women with slip-on shoes, they've done that before. So it's another universal.
Right, it's the things that we take for granted now.
Exactly.
Just sites that we take for granted, but you capture them. You capture them so well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, it's like
it's a good point to bring up, because a lot of us get so tunnel vision when it comes to trying to establish a greater scene, going for the theatrical setting rather than focusing in on the small details. And it is worthwhile to take a step back and change your approach up, and you never know what you're going to get.
Right, yeah.
And that's a great exercise, especially if somebody who's in a funk, when you hit that plateau and you got nothing else going, you can't seem to get anywhere. Start looking at the details. Focus on those little details. Because I really, Tracy, I am guilty of trying to find that big story, stepping back and pulling back and trying to get everything in context and everything. And you're right. You look at those details and you see those things that we often miss, and that can also tell a story. It doesn't have to be the whole body or the whole action.
Right.
It could be those subtle details that you have captured that can tell a story. Love it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it is time to throw some love over to our sponsor, Glass Key Photo. Located at 1230 Sutter Street in the heart of San Francisco, this is the Bay Area's premier location for all things analog, from repairs, cameras, lenses, film, both brands known and the weirdly unique, shit that you've never even heard of. That's the place to go and check out. You can also pick up zines made by local artists from right here in the Bay and help support that world. They are open from 12 to 6 every single day, ran by two of the hardest working guys in the industry I know, Matt and Gordon. And, whatever you're looking for, this is a place to go and check out when it comes to film. Even if you're not from San Francisco, next time you're visiting, go and check it out. So yeah, again, that's at 1230 Sutter Street, San Francisco, California, and much love from Street PX to everybody over there at Glass Key Photo. And continuing your education, continuing to get better and evolve your work. We were talking before the show, and I know we've been kind of resonating on Valerie Jardin's name here, but that's you have a workshop that you're going to be doing with her, right?
I do, yeah. I was excited to find out that she was going to be in Dallas in early December. Yeah, and so yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to watching her shoot and seeing her the way she does it. I know she doesn't look through the viewfinder. She looks through the LCD screen, and I find that really difficult.
Really?
Yeah, because especially in the sunshine, I can't see what's going on. So I have to put the camera up to my eye, and sometimes that's not very good. I'd rather have like a different perspective, and be more candid by having the camera down, like at my stomach or something. So that'll be interesting to see her work.
So I take it you're not a hip shooter.
I'm not. I wish I could be, but I don't have that skill yet.
I'll trust you. We'll probably be receiving emails of people. It's like, no hip shooting, from the purists.
Oh, really?
Oh no, I'm a definite hip shooter.
Jim's a hip shooter,
oh,
but there's always more than one camp on that debate.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that there was. I didn't know that there was controversy there.
Well,
there's controversy. Anything.
It's street photography. All street photography is controversy.
Yeah, black and white versus color, hip
yeah.
shooting versus it's just so much.
Injecting yourself into a scene or not?
I just took a photo. I didn't really inject myself into the scene, but I took a photo. It's a reflection, but you can see me in the camera.
Oh, you did the Vivian Marr approach.
Yeah, but unintentionally. And I really like the shot. So, do I keep it? Do I show it?
I say yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I say I do too.
All right, good.
I say yes.
I'm not one of those. I actually enjoy some of the pictures from street photographers where they're in the picture. They've kind of applied themselves into the frame, because you don't see that as much.
Yeah.
It's something that's fresh, and to be honest with you, I think sometimes the cameraman should be getting a little bit of glory from one of his, one of the images.
Yeah,
It's like, that's me down way over there. I'm reflecting off the coffee mug.
All right, good. I'll show it.
Yeah,
you have to send that to us, because now that we've talked about that one, we're gonna have to actually put that in the show notes. So,
all right, sounds good.
Now I'm curious. Have you ever, coming from the Chicago area, have you ever gone to the Out of Chicago conference?
I haven't, but I would like to.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You really.
It's a great event.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't been back actually to Illinois since I left.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I haven't even done street there. So yeah, I got to get back eventually.
Being somebody
you got to come to the conference. Yeah, because Valerie's there, Marie Lagneau is there.
Oh yeah.
Other guys. I mean, street photographers. You can hang out.
It's it is a massive convention, though. Sometimes maybe a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, I also want to go to the street photo in San Francisco too.
Oh yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yep. Third annual is going to be coming up in June, and I've talked to Ken as of recording this. At least the first vibrations are beginning.
Excellent.
And and we also had just came off of, at least during the recording of this, we were before, but now that you're hearing it, folks out there, Miami Street Photography Festival is another one of those really good places to go and check out and network.
Yeah.
Because a lot of street is about the community, not just your local one, but the one abroad as well.
Yeah,
that's right.
And that's why I like Instagram too.
Oh yeah,
I've discovered so many people on there.
Now Instagram's how you and Jim, is that how you guys first connected?
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Instagram is a great tool.
So many talented photographers on there.
Overwhelming. Actually, a better word, intimidating.
I find it really inspiring. Like when I want to go out and shoot, I'll look at that first and like, okay, I got to up my game,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So what is your approach to social media? I mean, apparently, I know you're pretty big on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram.
You're pretty prolific.
It's really the only one. I have a Facebook page, but it's not photography. It's hard for me, like on Facebook, if I post something, I'm conversing with all of my Facebook followers or friends, Facebook friends, and it's hard to have a conversation with that many people, because if you're talking to one or two people, you can cater what you say based on what you know about the person, but if you post something on Facebook, it's so easy for other people to be offended, and normally you wouldn't say something to this particular person because that they blah blah blah, so I limit myself on Facebook a lot. Yeah, but Instagram is different because it's really just the photography, and most of the comments are really supportive.
That's how it usually,
how about Flickr? Do you ever...
Flickr. Yeah, I'm on Flickr. That's like my storage for the photos.
I think a lot of photographers have went that way.
Yeah.
The closet.
Flickr's become the closet.
Right, because you can just see them all right there. And then, of course, I have external drives and cloud backup and stuff. But that's where I go. And then also... after I process my photos in Lightroom, I post them on Flickr, but just for me to see, just privately. And then the next day I'll go back and look at them, and I'll think, oh, I need to change this somehow. So, that's really how I use Flickr.
Okay. That's a valid point, because I can't tell you how many times I've posted a picture and then a few days later look at it and go, but I should have done it a different way.
Yeah.
And that brings up an interesting point, because especially in using social media, do you shoot and then post right away, or do you let it marinate?
I shoot, and then if I can, I process right away, and then I let it marinate overnight. And then I look at the photos the next day, and if I have something to tweak, I will. But I only post one photo a day, and I don't post on Fridays or Saturdays.
Why is that?
Well, especially on Saturdays. I don't get a lot of likes on that day. So I figured it's kind of a wasted post. Yeah.
What are you finding to be your kind of like most traffic today? Is there a particular day of the week that you like? If somebody said you can only post on this day a week on Instagram, which day would that be?
I would have to go to my Square Lovin' website where it tells me the stats for the particular days.
What's that again?
It's squarelovin.com.
Okay.
And it's free.
So it's doing like analytics for you?
Yeah, just basic analytics. You can pay other websites to get more detailed. But I'm thrifty, so I don't.
I was going to say, yeah, that's for your hardcore socialites.
That's right. So Square Lovin' is the one who told me, hey, Saturdays are your worst days.
And after putting that in action, you felt that it actually reflected the information. Is that how you first decided, okay, Saturday the analytics are saying this, and then you looked back at your information and said, oh, that's true. I'm not really getting much on Saturdays.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
That's something that's very important to consider, because sometimes you get a diminishing return if you're wasting all this time on a day when nobody's actually actively using the program.
I'd rather save the photo for another day, yeah.
Right. It's kind of, you're just kind of wasting that photo, and that could be your next epic, and you just post it on a dead day and didn't get anything.
Yeah.
You do. That's one of the funny things about Instagram, where it doesn't really coalesce with the other social media program or services, because there's not really a shareability, which isn't a bad thing, because since Instagram, I think, since it's image driven, there's that higher potential for theft of imagery or misrepresentation, because I see that constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, there was one recently, one of the Instagram accounts that they post pictures of from other people, without
telling you who they are.
No, they told them they tell us who it is. This was actually
they did. Okay.
Yeah, I won't mention the account.
No, okay. That's okay.
They posted a photo. They gave a photographer credit, but the photographer that they gave credit had actually posted someone else's photo in order to, and he gave that person credit too, in order to have a discussion about that photographer. Mm-hmm. So it was all on the up and up. But the second account gave the wrong photographer credit.
Oh, so you had this spiral moment.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Instagram, I've seen once it starts spiraling, that's tricky. That's a tricky thing to stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Which could, in some cases, make or break some photographers if they share the wrong thing or do it in the wrong approach.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Are you using any services like Hootsuite or anything to kind of automate some of your sharing, or are you doing it directly through?
It's all manual. All me.
All you? That's actually good. I like hearing that, because I see this on so many blog posts talking about, go and use Hootsuite or Buffer or something like that to push it. And I'm thinking in my head, it's like you're kind of, in my opinion, I think you're skipping the journey. You're wasting so much effort, or not wasting effort, but you're overlooking the fun part of things, is keeping an eye on it, like the 365-day projects. I know of people that, I'm doing a 365 and I'm good until next month. I'm like, that's not how this works.
Oh yeah, instead of photographing every day or something.
Right. Yeah. They just set up on an automated system, which is good if you're looking for just straight up followers and likes and so forth. But I think that there's something to be said about using your time and doing it manually and being a part of that process.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, and then I also heard there's automated comments.
Really?
That's what I heard on some podcast. Yeah, I don't know how that works, but yeah, one guy said that he posted a picture of a friend of his who had died, and he got like a really
like a canned response.
Yeah, that was inappropriate.
Oh.
Yeah.
Actually, that doesn't surprise me with the way that things. You see that it's the bots.
Yeah.
I know there's a ton of those on Instagram in particular. Facebook's got them as well.
Yeah, probably some called Alexi. Right. We won't go there.
Before we let the social media topic fall away, how about that Google Plus?
I was never on Google Plus.
I think there's a lot of people that can say that same statement.
I was on Google Plus. I still may post, but I haven't posted in a long time on Google Plus.
I posted something a little while back just to test, and I was part of that early vanguard when Google Plus was still. Well, I was going to say it was still beta, but isn't that everything Google? Everything's beta. But it was early on, and I ended up with like 8,000 followers. But
really?
Still to this day, yeah, it was really great. Had the numbers, a little pat on the back for myself, kind of getting those endorphins going. But what you find though is you post something, and even with thousands of followers, the possibility of you getting any return on that, any likes, or I guess in their cases plus ones or comments, is just very few and far between.
Why is that?
The interesting thing about Google Plus is early on it was kind of looked upon, the photographers jumped on it. It was looked upon as this kind of like Flickr alternative, and that just fizzled. Something pulled the rug out from under it, and I'm sure it's probably going to be one of those things that gets the plug pulled eventually.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised it hasn't already.
Truth.
I know.
But then again, a lot of people could say the same thing about Flickr, and that's like the cockroach that just won't die. I mean, I'm not saying I want it to die.
Right, I don't want it to.
Flickr's great.
Yeah, I like Flickr.
I want somebody to buy Flickr and make that something better than what it is.
Yeah.
Because I mean, with Yahoo kind of relinquishing everything, I think that Flickr has the potential for a rebirth of sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, what? Now we're on social media. Let's talk about Her Side of the Street.
Okay.
Yes.
That's something that you're involved, that you've become involved with. Tell us about what it is and why you got involved.
All right. Her Side of the Street is a website. It belongs to Casey Meshbesher, and she runs a Facebook group called @Women in Street, and it's for female street photographers. It's a way to kind of promote our work and kind of give us a leg up in the male-dominated world.
It is. Mm-hmm.
And every month on that Facebook group, she has a challenge, a different theme. And it's curated by a different photographer every month. So this new photographer, she'll pick the images that she likes, and then they'll be posted to Her Side of the Street, the website. And so I've submitted a few times, and one of my photos got picked a little while ago. The theme was it was called Backstory. So it was all about photographing people from the back. And so my photo had a woman who had a tattoo on her back of this big tree. And so I had actually followed her across the street to get a photo of it by a tree. And so the photo I got was really good. I got a picture of her back by a tree with a guy standing next to the tree with his arm on a branch. And then there's a guy in the foreground who has a hand over his eyes because it's sunny. And so there's a lot going on in the photo. And so that one was chosen to appear on our website, and I was really honored.
That tattoo was wild. I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a big tattoo.
Yeah, it was.
So that's her website, Casey's, and her Facebook group. And then in addition to the challenge, photographers can also post if they've been interviewed. They can put a link to that. So I'll be posting a link to the podcast. I'm excited about. Yeah.
Great.
So you guys should have Casey on to discuss more about her project. It's really good.
I was gonna say a little PSA. If there's anybody from the group that would like to, come on to Street PX Live, definitely let us know. We would love to have you contact us. And you had started, this is a group exclusively for women street photographers, right? Or at least women photographers?
It's all street, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Men can join the group, but they can't post photos. So if a man joins the group, he could post a link to an interview by a female street photographer to give that person, some publicity.
Right.
Okay. So Casey doesn't do the interviews that are on the.
No, it sounds like it's just kind of like different interviews.
Yeah.
Well, I think there are interviews on her website.
Good.
So she probably does those interviews. But you can post on Facebook. You can post interviews wherever they take place. Because I was on the site and I noticed that one of the interviews that were on there were Rosa Wolf. We both know Rosa. She's a friend of our podcast. But she was interviewed, and I thought Casey had conducted the interview. Yeah, she probably did. Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds like a wonderful resource too, especially right now. I love hearing about this because we had a talk with Michelle Groskopf here recently in one of our shows, and she was talking about some groups that try and push and try and really get some exposure for the female photographers because. You said it earlier, and it is a male-dominated genre, which is unfortunate because we've talked about it before. It's having a different perspective is a wonderful thing, and seeing imagery coming out more and more on female photographers is a great thing. And I want to urge all of our listeners out there to go and take a look at this group. And we are going to put the link into the show notes here for both of these because it sounds like it's a combination of two groups. Is that correct?
It's the Facebook group, and then it's also her website.
There it is. Yep. And if you want, go ahead and drop the link again for that website.
I think it's her side of the street. I don't know if it's .com or .org.
I put you on the spot, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
And we'll definitely verify that and put it into the notes there so people can go and look. And how big is the Facebook group?
That's a good question. I don't know. But Michelle is part of the group too. And I think that's where I first discovered her because she had posted that she had just been accepted into the Full Frontal Flash Collective. So this was a while ago.
Right.
But yeah, that's where I first discovered her.
She is absolutely. She's got a unique eye.
Yeah.
For insanity.
And you know what? And she also is another one for detail too.
Yeah.
That's
she
true.
had. I think she had a picture of a woman carrying a watermelon, and then like with red nail polish, long red nails. Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Have you come out here to the West Coast very much? Have you been to San Francisco?
No, I haven't been to San Francisco. I had a trip planned for Napa. Yeah. We were supposed to leave the Thursday after the fires.
We were talking.
Yeah. So my boyfriend and I were monitoring that whole week, and the air quality was just getting worse. So we had to cancel that. Yeah. But the good news is that the person who was organizing the whole trip, she may reschedule it for around Mother's Day of 2018. And if that happens, I'm going to book a couple extra days and go to San Francisco and do some shooting.
There you go.
There we go. You have to call us.
Oh, I totally will. I would love to go with you guys.
All right.
Yeah. Now be careful when you do that because if you call us, then we'll probably pull the group together and it'll be like a photographic army walking down the street.
Oh. Well, it'll be good to meet some other people too.
Oh yeah, we'll make sure that there's plenty. Go ahead, Jim.
And if you stretch it out even longer, because Mother's Day is in May, right? Maybe you could stretch it out to early June and do the street photo festival.
That would be great.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, do a little couch surfing. We can put you up a little bit.
Oh yeah, we can
awesome.
find somewhere. Yeah, there's plenty, and Airbnb was originated here, so love it or hate it, there's plenty because half of San Francisco is now Airbnb apparently.
That's why rents are so high.
Yes. Yeah, so definitely somewhere to stay.
Excellent.
And we'll have to show you around because there's some really great streets, and unlike a lot of towns, there's neighborhoods that are dense all throughout San Francisco.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And we always find it so much fun to take people out from street shooters from out of town because we had Rosa out here and Rosa Wolf and had her out here. Valerie Jardin.
I was going to say, we have Valerie out here.
Yeah. We went in a mission with her and just hung out, and we got to see how she shot.
Oh, you're lucky.
So, so now we're going to have Tracy out here. So, there you go.
That's great.
Fantastic.
And then the only other place that I've shot street is the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's actually because the Napa trip fell through, we ended up going to Dallas.
How'd that play out?
Dallas, I don't think I gave it enough of a chance because we shot there the day that we came, so the sun was setting and it wasn't that great. But then the next day we went to Fort Worth, and I'd never been there before. The downtown is really nice, and I got a lot of good shots there.
That's a very historical district too, right? Or at least that downtown of Fort Worth. Or is it fairly kind of like renewed?
I would say it's renewed. It's nice and clean. It's real pretty, and they have a nice square there where people just gather, and there's a fountain there. The big.
Oh, nice.
The water shoots up from the concrete, so it's real pretty.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like I think Chicago has something similar to that. It's just kind of an open promenade, but like there's a whole quadrant where it's just these little spigots that are built in.
Was that in Millennium Park?
Millennium Park, you see the kids.
Well, there is one in Millennium Park in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Over by the big faces.
Yeah, right. And the bean.
Oh, the bean.
Yeah.
Oh, I think the bean has been in front of every photographer's camera that's ever been to Chicago.
Yeah.
But it's a blast to shoot. It's just it's kind of at a point now. It's like, how many times can you do this, or is there a unique picture of this anymore?
Right.
That's the challenge, to find something different, and it is really hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that's not to say that photographers should stop shooting it, because you never know what kind of holy shit idea could pop up, and originality could pop up anytime.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Jim?
Yeah, and you have to go to the out of Chicago thing too, Tracy.
I do.
We've got the Street PX is planning a bunch of trips for you to take.
Yes, we
You
are.
got the money
We're doing
for
this
it?
for you.
Yeah, this is for you. Okay.
Yeah, we'll start
be in the show notes.
We'll start a GoFundMe. Well, where do you want to take your street from here? Do you have any goals in place? Anything, any direction that you see yourself in a few years?
Oh, that's a good question. I definitely
I'm always curious about that with new photographers. Like, what's in your mind right now, and what you think it can be?
Yeah, I don't see it being like a full-time moneymaker. You know, I don't see me quitting my job. I think because part of the fun of the shooting street is just that it is fun. Like there's no stress. I don't have to make money off it. It's just for me. And I think if I tried to do it full time, like professionally, it'd be work, you know.
Yeah. Obligations.
Yeah. But I definitely want to get better. I want to learn more techniques, such as panning. I've tried that. I've failed.
Are you talking about using the motion blur? Is that what you're talking about? Panning?
Yeah, like you focus on one, like say someone on a scooter, and then you follow them as they move, right. And then so the scooter and the driver are in focus, and then like the cars behind them are all blurred.
Right.
Yeah,
I've been seeing more and more of this. I akin that to kind of like artistic street, art house street. A good example, if you're interested in that kind of work, is Roxanne Overton.
Oh.
Roxanne is a local photographer here in the Bay Area, and she does a lot of this very emotional, very. Jim, how would you describe that? It's.
I'm trying to actually figure.
I'm blanking on the word.
She described it. Yeah. I can't think of how it is, but it's
Impressionist street.
Yeah. It's very emotive. It's very. I think you hit it exactly on it. It's impressionism.
That sounds good.
Impressionism.
It looks like painting, actually. Yeah, painting with pixels.
Oh, nice.
But it's a lot of blur. Mm-hmm. A lot of motion blur type stuff, and it's interesting.
But she takes it to a kind of a different level. You were talking about panning just now, and she will actually work it on the vertical or a diagonal, and using the colorations in the scene. Like if a person has a red shirt, and it's during the golden hour or something, she tries to work the colors in and using the motion blur, kind of like the stroke of a brush.
That sounds awesome.
And it's amazing work. Not for everybody, of course. Again, there's always naysayers like that's not street. But I don't, everybody's got their definition.
Yeah, it could be an aspect of street.
Yeah. I'd also like to do like if you're looking through a window with raindrops on it, and then like you don't like it's more abstract.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like to do something like that, which sounds sort of like her work.
Yeah, that's kind of in that same kind of vein. Are you talking about just bokeh out the background using the water droplets?
Yeah,
the water droplet in focus, and then the background.
Right.
Yeah.
San Francisco won't be a good idea for that because we get rain about 3 times a year now.
Yeah, Austin's not very good either.
Oh, have you guys been experiencing drought?
No, but it really doesn't rain a lot here. Most of the days are sunny.
Oh, okay.
I guess you got to go back to Chicago.
I know, Chicago.
Yeah.
Well,
check it out.
Though I would like to go back there just for like a couple of days in the wintertime whenever it's hardcore. Problem is, if you go, you could end up stuck. So that's your risk.
That's true.
I got a lot of relatives there.
Yeah, you got couches to stay on.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Now, one thing I definitely want to make sure we do is something that we ask all of our guests that come into the show is if you had the opportunity to go and well, actually, before I ask that question, Jim, did you have anything?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So something that we ask all of our guests that come on Street PX is if you had the opportunity to go and take a photo in any place in time since the inception of the camera, where would that be and why?
I think I'm gonna do like a Vivian Maier thing. I would say like, or maybe a little earlier, 40s or 50s, in Chicago. Just Chicago, just because that's like my hometown area. Not that I'm from Chicago, but that area. And I like the more formal dress that people used to wear then. I don't think I'd actually like it if I had to wear it now, but because I'm a jeans girl. But like, and the hats that they all wore and the suits, and I think that would be a really, really full of things to take pictures of.
Yeah, the hats. That's a great reference because you don't see that as much anymore. In some places you see the fedora on guys coming back more, but during the 40s and 50s, there were so many different complexities, and it was kind of like its own artistic expression. Yeah,
and even now I'm drawn to people with hats. People with hats and dogs. I have to go take a picture of them.
I think that's the PETA, the PETA background coming out.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's been elevated to a section in your website too. I see.
My portfolio has a section devoted to dogs. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, and just like the dog pictures and your full portfolio there, where can our listeners find out more about you and see your work? I
have my portfolio at tracyhabenicht.com, and I will spell that. It's Tracy, just with a Y, no E, and Habenicht is HAB as in boy, ENICHT, and my Instagram feed is Tracy_Habenicht. Excellent.
And there is no R in that last name.
There is no R in Habenicht.
Yes, no R.
Yes.
No matter how badly you want to put
That's
it in.
right.
Yeah.
No R.
And for listeners out there, if you think that we're just joking, wait till you start to try and write the name. Your mind is going to try and put it there. Cool. All right. Well, Jim, where can we find out more information about you?
Well, before I mention that, Tracy, you were right. On my Instagram feed, that picture is not there. That girl, the girl hanging on
you
the
gotta
chain.
put it there.
It's not there, so I'm gonna have to put it there.
Right.
But you can find me at jimwatkinsphoto.com, and all my social media links are right there.
Wonderful. And you can find more about me at recasper.com. All of my previous blog posts, any future workshops I have cooking, all of that great stuff is right there at recasper.com. More importantly, though, I want you to go and take a look at streetpx.com. That's all of our past episodes from street photographers, documentary photographers, photojournalists, both up and coming and established, and in a couple of cases, Pulitzer Prize and Emmy winners. So definitely go back and look at our archives. Additionally, we always have something going on, some type of a contest or something. So keep an eye on the blog there at StreetPX. And if you want to help us keep our mics hot and the bandwidth flowing, we appreciate every penny you send our way through our Patreon. So go take a look at patreon.com/StreetPX, and from there it's not something for nothing. If you give $1, $5, $10, you can get rewards as well, such as T-shirts and prints and different things like that. So go take a look there. And last but not least, reviews. We love reviews, so go and send us some gold stars there on iTunes, and the more that we get, the more ears we can get to. So that said, I want to thank everybody out there for listening to us. Jim, thank you for joining me, my friend.
And let's thank Tracy for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. I had a great time.
Wonderful.
Right,
and we will talk to everybody out there in the podcast world in 2 weeks.
See ya.
Cheers.